Okay, so now it's time to start populating our videos. So we have our information, and then we'll move on to the final step, which is the JavaScript, which will make it appear up in our video player and scroll to the top. The way we're going to go about this is we'll go ahead and I'm going to start in music, and I'm going to open up my section with my cards so I can see my cards. And I'm going to get my text file ready. And what I'm starting with is my music page. And I'm going to put my first music in, my first song in. And the way that I'm going to go about this is I'm going to grab my ID that I already have in my text file that I made. And we want it right where we have YouTube ID. And then I'm going to take my image name, which is James Taylor. I know it's a JPEG, and I put a JPEG in for the filler image on purpose so that I can just copy the name, come down here, and paste it in. And I already have the extension .jpeg there ready for me to go. I'm going to go ahead and take my title and my singer-songwriter, and I'm going to put that in my current title. And I'm going to take my text. And depending on your text editor, you should be able to just double click on that line of text that you're going to put in, and we want to put it right where our current information is. I have put paragraph tags in mine, as I would encourage you to do with yours. In this case, I only have one paragraph, and if I save it and I go and take a look now, I'll see my first. And there is my first. Now, one thing we have to take care of real quick, I left a little bit of CSS for us to deal with, and that is we have to go and apply to the information text before we continue on. We want to go ahead and apply, get that text looking right in our box. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go out. We have cardInfoText as our class, and we're going to go into our CSS. And we're going to go to our cardInfoText. And right there's the problem. So we'll be able to fix it rather quickly by just adding text to the end of the class name. So if we hit save there, and we go out and we take a look, and we refresh. And I must not have it right yet. So reason being, if you look, I updated the wrong thing. So if you look, our text is not showing up right, which means we must have made a mistake, and we're going to go ahead and click it right on the right in the video. We'll go ahead and adjust it. And what we want to do is we want to go change the name of the details clip in our style sheet. If you look at our music page, we had renamed this class to cardInfoText, and we did not update it in our style sheet. So the nice thing is we only have to fix it in one place, and that is in our style sheet. And so that is the details clip, and we're going to go ahead and put that in there and save it, and then we'll go out and we'll take a look, and you can see that it has updated our card, and our text is correct. It's being cut off where it should be cut off. It's fitting in there nicely, and you can see it applied to all of our other boxes as well, divs as well, because the text is now smaller and in the correct size. So make sure that you make this correction as you're going through, and let's get back to populating I'm going to close my style sheet. That will be part of your grade, is correcting that. So I have James Taylor done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my next one. Once you feel you have the feel of this, you can go ahead and advance the video further to to the JavaScript section. I'm going to keep doing this for those of you who might feel you need just a little more to watch what's going on. But as I go through, you'll see I'm basically just taking and moving all my text over. Double click on that line, bring that over, get it in here in my cardInfoText, paste it in, clean it up. The other thing you can do is we can use beautify at the end if we would like to. You can see I just have one paragraph in the blind melon one, and I'm going to keep moving down. So I did blind melon. Now I'm going to do Black Crows, awesome band. Put that in there. Get my Black Crows JPEG. If you remember, we copied in the last video, we copied all of our images over. So they're all sitting there in that image folder. And I'm just going through and I'm updating. Something we could have done to make life a little bit easier is we could have named all the card information and card title, current title and current information as one word so that we could just double click on it and roll with it. You can see I have more text in this one. So I have 3 paragraphs, and I'm just breaking those paragraphs up with the paragraph tags. We could go ahead and break them down if we wanted to into their own little sections so that we can see. I'm going to save, go take a peek at my cards, and they all should be updating. You can see I'm missing my blind melon image. So let's go take a look at that real quick and see where we might have messed that one up. I'm going to go up, what's the picture? So that's Black Crows. Let's come up here to blind melon. Blind melon change. And I believe what happened is my file got renamed somehow. So what I'm going to do is just rename it. I took the name I'm using and I renamed the picture with it, and you can see now it's the name. If I go out, let's see if there it is. It replaces and it takes on the picture. So I can keep on going on my music page. Grab my next one, which is Dave and Tim. You know, while I enjoy Dave Matthews music, I must say my most favorite time to hear Dave is when he's with Tim Reynolds. And my most favorite song by Dave Matthews with Tim Reynolds is Gray Street. It's an awesome song. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up there. I don't recognize Gray Street as a Dave Matthews Band song. I recognize it as a Tim and Dave song. Grab my paragraph. I'm going to put this out here. Clean it up real quick. Again, we could just use, if we wanted to, could just use beautify. I just have a habit of wanting to clean my code as I go and making updates. So that's Dave. I'm going to grab this YouTube ID for In Repair by Our Lady Peace. Great band, just went to see them, got to go backstage and meet them. Really good time. We'll go ahead and we'll put this up there. Grab our title. Place that in there. Grab our information. Paste that in there. And this one I have a couple paragraphs as well. So we can go ahead and break those paragraphs down if we would like. It makes it easier to see and manage. Get rid of our space on the bottom there. And we're almost done our music one. So I'll go ahead and grab my last music one, my last YouTube ID for the song. Superman's Dead by Our Lady Peace. I would have to say Our Lady Peace is probably is my all-time favorite close second, blind melon. Paste that in there. And we'll get our last one, and it looks like we'll be wrapping up our music page. Current information. Paste that in there. I'm going to just hit beautify this time and let it clean up everything for me. You can see it separated the paragraph tags and it left everything in there. And if I go out and I take a look at my band page, the only thing that I'm missing at the moment is Our Lady Peace, Superman's Dead. So if I go in and I take a look, I have Super OLP as the image, and the problem is this is the only image where the file extension is PNG. It's a PNG, it's not a JPEG. And so what I can do is go and fix this, PNG, save, and we are good. My music page is now done with the exception to JavaScript. So I'll move on over to my movies page and I will start updating that information. So I'll go to movies. I'm going to go ahead and close up my header so it's not a distraction. And I'm going to go after my first movies. So under movies, I'm going to grab my first YouTube ID, paste that in there. Name of the movie is Good Morning Vietnam. So I'm going to grab that title, the image. I'm going to put it in my image. I know it's a JPEG, so I'm safe there. Title, Good Morning Vietnam. You can, if you need to slow it down, pause, or whatever, that's part of the, right, that's part of the idea of using the videos, is to give you that ability to slow things down. This is really just repetitive. I'm not even going to clean that up now. I'm just going to keep moving on, and then I'll use beautify later. I'll go ahead and grab my For Awakenings, great movie. Robin Williams, great actor. Sad story. Grab my image, put it in there, grab my title, put this in there, grab my information, put that in there. So that's Awakenings. We'll just leave it all wonky this time. We'll just not waste time going back and fixing things when we can use the beautify to go ahead and fix those things for us. Put our YouTube title in, Shawshank Redemption, another great movie. We'll put that in there. The Shawshank Redemption. Paste that in there. Go grab our information. Paste that in there. And we'll go on to our next one, which is The Breakfast Club, a classic for me, showing my age a little bit. These guys were known as the Brat Pack. A lot of great movies together. This team of actors. And most of them have become great actors. Put the name in. Title. Current information. Grab that. I think we only have one or two left. And as you can see, by going and getting the information first, it's great because you get your code in, you can quickly get your information in, you can kind of validate it as you go along, make sure that things look good. Yes, Napoleon Dynamite, one of the most witty movies. One of my most favorite witty movies. Very intellectual movie. Funny thing is, it kind of is in a way. Depends on how you choose to look at it and watch it. Paste that in, and we'll do our last one. 7 pounds. I would have to say, arguably, is probably one of my most favorite movies. Very profound, touching, meaningful, thought-provoking, definitely thought-provoking, which is a prerequisite for me as being a good movie. They wanted to send me away thinking about something. Put that in there. Put this down here. And let's go ahead before we even take a look at it. Let's beautify it. Let's save it and let's go take a look. All right, cool. So we have 3 missing images, questionable images. So we'll go ahead and let's take a look at our code and see. Let's start with Awakenings. And if I look over here, looking for my Awakenings movie, and it is nowhere to be found. So I'll go out to my images folder. I'm going to go back to downloads and take a look and see if I missed that somewhere. And I think what I'm going to do is by type. That way I get all my images lined up. So I can see here, my Awakenings is there. While I have the chance, I'm going to turn it to lowercase. Always a good idea to turn it to lowercase. I'm going to go and take a peek too at what else I'm missing, which is Breakfast Club and Napoleon. So Awakenings, there's the Breakfast Club. And let's look for Napoleon, film Napoleon Dynamite. I'm going to copy them, Control C, go up in my Step 11 folder, go to my Assets, Images, and I'm going to just paste them right in there. Now, and it's telling me that Napoleon is in there. I'm going to go ahead and just replace it. And I'm going to rename, actually I'm going to rename that in brackets so I can use the name that I was pulling from. So we'll go to Movies. Let's take a look. In Movies, Awakenings, right here it is. I think we might have nailed that one. Let's go take a look. Yep, Awakenings and Breakfast Club fell in. The only ones that we need now are, only one we need is Napoleon Dynamite. And I think what I'm going to do is Awesome Boots. Let's go ahead. Get this one renamed down to Napoleon Dynamite. Copy it. Let's go check in our movies. See. Yep. So that should be working now as well. Let's do a refresh. And there we go. So the only other thing we have to do at our movies page before we move on to learning some JavaScript is let's go ahead and update this video. Just pick one of these that you have in here. I think I'm going to go with, let me see. I think I'm going to go ahead with 7 pounds. And put that up there as my featured. So I scroll up to my movie player, my iframe, if you recall. I have the YouTube address in there. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to paste that in, hit save. Come out, and you can see that it is now updated with that. So at this point we have our music page, everything set up that we want, and we have our movies page. Okay, so now it's time to add some magic to our page, some JavaScript. JavaScript, there's quite a bit in the reading, not an extensive amount, but there is an introduction to JavaScript in this lesson, a few videos for you to watch, short videos about using JavaScript and about what it is and how it's used. Overall, JavaScript really is a way for us to manipulate our pages, the DOM, the document object model, which is what our HTML code becomes when it's fed into a browser. It's a way for us to dynamically change those things without continuously reaching back out to our web server to make changes to have pages refresh. And so we'll go ahead and we'll start on the movies page. And again, I will copy and paste for the sake of time and to keep this short, and I'll explain as I put things out. I'm on my movies page. I'm going to close my header. I'm going to make sure that it's closed, and it's being kind of silly, so I think what I'm going to do is close my movie and my music page, do a little house cleaning real quick as we're getting to go. Collapse my assets folder, don't need anything in there anymore, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my movies page, and we can see my header is already collapsed. I have my movie player, and I have my section with my cards, which I'm going to collapse that for right now. And the reason I'm going to do that is right down here below the footer is where I'm going to put in my script tags. Script tags lets the browser know that the information in between those tags is not HTML, it is script, and by default now with HTML5 it automatically recognizes script unless identified differently, because one of the attributes that we can put in here is type. But by default, without putting type, it automatically assumes that it's JavaScript. What we're going to do with JavaScript, as you learned in the other lesson, in the attached videos to the lesson, JavaScript, like HTML, like scripting languages, it's read from top down, and as it's processed, it will complete any actions that it's told to do. In this case, if we look at it and we look at the script tag, we have something called a function. And what a function does for us is it allows us to capture some directives, some information, some things that we want the browser to do, but only do it when we call it. So basically what we're doing is grouping some things together, and we call it a function in JavaScript, and we're giving it a name. The name we're giving this one is change video because we want it to change the video in the top of the page. And what we can do inside of here is when we call this function, if we were to come down here and we were to put an alert, which is a JavaScript, built-in JavaScript function, and we were to say, just put some text in there. Let's make it readable here. And we saved it. And we go out and we preview our page. We see that JavaScript told the browser, hey, throw an alert. That's what this window is. It's an alert window. And what this does is it holds everything up until we say OK, and then it lets the rest of the page go. And a lot of times we'll use JavaScript to do certain things to the page when it loads to make it more attractive, more user-friendly, to do more things. But in this case, let's say we don't want that alert out there. That's where we use a function. So I'm going to take the alert away, and in the reading you'll learn more about the alert and how that works. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it inside of this function. Now that will only work when I tell it to work, when I call the function. Well, if you recall, in our card we elected to use an attribute called onClick. And what onClick is what we call an event listener. And so with that in place, what we're telling the browser is anytime that somebody clicks me, do what's inside here. And in this case, we'll worry about the ID in a minute, but in this case, we're saying call that function, call the change video function. And because we did it in every one of our cards, that event listener is attached to every single card. And what it'll do when we click on it is it will call this function, which then will trigger off this alert. So let's go have a look at that. I think we are going to need to refresh. And there you can see, anytime I click on this, it calls the function. So pretty cool, pretty fun. JavaScript is actually not that difficult. You can make it very difficult, but if you just pay attention to the small things and take your time and kind of wade into it, it's not difficult at all. So we know we're calling the function. We know when it gets to the function, it hits the alert. So why are we putting this YouTube code in here? Why are we putting the code, the ID in there? Well, what we can do is we can capture that ID by using something we call a parameter. We don't need to get too hung up on that because I want you to get just familiar with the idea of a variable. And so this parameter acts like what we call a variable. And what happens is whichever one you click on, whichever card you click on, it's going to pass this information in. And when that information is passed in, this variable represents that. So this variable is equal to whatever is passed in. So if we actually took this variable and we replaced in this alert the here, and we just put the variable in there and we saved it, and we came out. Oh, I got to refresh. And I click it. I can see that the value of the YouTube ID was passed through, which is pretty cool. Now, if you have a programming mind, you're already starting to see the possibilities in something such as this. It's pretty cool because we can use this one function for all the cards in this page. And if we wanted to, we can move this to an external file, which we'll do in a later lesson, and we'll use it for all the cards in all the pages. So now that we know we can get the ID, one of the cool things that we can do in JavaScript is we're able to look at the document. We look at this whole page. This is considered a document, everything inside of here. And if I go to inspect in my console tools by right-clicking and hitting inspect, I can see there's my document. Everything inside of this is part of my document. And if I come out and I look at this, I say, I'm telling the browser, look at the document. And then this dot says, and by the way, in that document, I want you to get an element by ID, and I want you to get the movie frame. So if I come out and I look at this, and I look in this first section where we know we have the movie frame, I can see right here that I have my movie frame. And I'm going to tell it what I want to do is I want to change the source. And if you see, the source is what we're using to call the video in. And so in this case, it's calling in 7 pounds. And we can see our source there calling in 7 pounds. Let's get that all the way down so we can see it. Here we go. So we can see that it's calling the 7 pounds. And we can see on the YouTube video 7 pounds. And we can see that it's the source. src equals that. Well, with JavaScript, what we can do is we can tell it, hey, we want that source now to equal this. And so by passing the ID in, we can substitute here, we can fill in the end of this line, this address with the ID, and we can make the movie frame source equal to the video ID. And so if I hit save and I come back out, and if you watch over here, I'll clear this out real quick. And if we watch our movie frame, ID, movie frame, if I go down and I click on Shawshank, see how it turned purple? And it actually changed the address of the source. And if you look here, it actually changed the movie. inside of the iframe.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard all the evidence.
If I come down,
I submit that this was not a hot-blooded
I click on Napoleon Dynamite, you saw a change here. And it changed up here because it changed the source dynamically. It removed what was there and replaced it with what we asked it to put there. Same thing if I come down and I do this with 7 pounds. You can see it updated the information. And now if we scroll up and we take a look, we can see that we have 7 pounds in there. It's pretty awesome, the power that JavaScript gives you, the things that you can do with it. So inside our function, one last thing that we want to take care of is we see that we're calling and changing the source of the movie, of the iframe. But the problem is if we're all the way down here and we click on Napoleon Dynamite, it changes. We know it changed. We saw it change over here. And we're going to go ahead and just close that. We click that, we know that Breakfast Club is in the movie player now, but some people don't realize to scroll up. They don't know to scroll up. And so one of our goals as web developers is always to make sure that it's user-friendly. And one of the ways that we can do this is we can again say, hey browser, look at the document. I want you to focus on the element by ID. I want you to focus on a place in the document where you see the movie frame ID. And I want you to scroll that into view. And so built into the browser, it knows, in order to get that into view, it knows based on math where it is and where it needs to go to. And just for fun, so it just doesn't blip up there, we add in what we call a behavior, which is just another attribute that we can feed to the browser to let it know how to do what we're asking it to do. And what we're saying is we want your behavior to be smooth. We actually want to see the scroll, feel the scroll, and we want it to not be abrupt and abrasive. So now if we come out and we hit refresh and we scroll down and we hit Napoleon Dynamite, we literally scroll up into place and we can play. With JavaScript, it's amazing all the things that one can do, that you can do. As a matter of fact, full applications are written in JavaScript. Our homework application that we leverage is a JavaScript application. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take this code, this script that we created, which you should have typed in. You should have paused and put it in there. And we're going to go into our music page now. And again, we're going to go all the way down to the bottom because we want the script to work after the page, basically all the things that we need have loaded. Paste it in there underneath the footer, hit save. We'll come out, go to love, things, music, scroll down, and there we have it. And our video will play.
Years 2029, the machines will convince us that they
Scroll
are
down,
that they have the...
check it out, and there we go again. And there we have it. We have created pretty cool experience, minimal UI, CSS, not too much. Could it look better? Could we do neater things? Sure, but right now what we're worried about is functionality and getting it laid out and getting things working correctly. So that will conclude. This lesson, and this lesson coincides very much so with step 010, step 10, where we do the same thing in WordPress.